Let's go now to our next submission from Anjum Rahman, and Anjum's going to join us by Zoom.
Tēnā koutou katoa. He uri tēnei no Inia, ko Qamar Shamim Rawa, ko Anjum Rahman o ku kaumātua. Ko kirikiri roa tōku whatu manoa. Ko Waikato te awa e mahi nei aku maharahara. He kirikiri roa ahau e noho ana inai nei, ko Anjum Rahman tōku ingoa. I would like to acknowledge mana whenua where I sit, who are Ngāti Wairere, Ngāti Haua, and Ngāti Mahanga. And because I am in the Waikato, I would like to acknowledge the kingitanga and te arakinui, Queenie ngā waihono i te pō, and also to acknowledge the passing of Kingi Tuheitia. And being based in the Waikato, I would like to begin by quoting the words of Kingi Pōtātou Te Wherewhero, the first Māori king, at the time of his coronation. Ko tahi te kohao o te ngara e kuhuna ai te miro mā, te miro pango, te miro whero. Through the eye of the needle pass the white thread, the black thread, and the red thread. I want to acknowledge that I'm taking space from tangata whenua when I sit here and present from you today, and that indicates the fundamental flaw of this process of trying to renegotiate a treaty without equitable processes. This is a Crown-enforced process that the other party never asked for nor consented to, nor did they get a chance to co-design that process. Rights for all of this were taken away as soon as the bill was conceived. I want to go back to my roots as a Muslim woman and give you some historical context. In the early days of the Muslim community in the city of Medina, they entered into the Treaty of Hudaybiyah, and it was a treaty with hugely unfavourable clauses to the Muslim community, but the community kept to it, even when it caused significant hardships, because we honour our commitments. That is a part of our faith and our traditions. Te Tiriti was in no way onerous on the Crown, and it should not have been onerous on Māori. It was supposed to be an equal partnership at the very least that protected land, forests, waters, and taonga, as well as tino rangatiratanga. Tangata whenua stuck to their side of Te Tiriti. The Crown is the one who hasn't honoured it. The pages of Te Tiriti were almost lost. A couple are actually gone. Continual breaches by the Crown through legislation happened across decades and are still happening. The oppression and dispossession was all legal at a time when very few Māori were in government. The Crown were able to take power through mass migration and importation of troops. Imagine if that process happened today, where a population of 2,500 grew to 703,000 in the space of around 50 years. Breaches of Te Tiriti, we have a detailed 27-page presentation that lists all the legislative breaches by the Crown up to 2023. And if we did a similar document for the breaches by this government, we would have that many pages again. Tangata whenua have honoured Te Tiriti. For example, the Māori battalion that participated in wars for this country. Their participation in an enforced democratic system using all Crown-mandated methods available to them to seek rights. By accepting minuscule Tiriti settlements that represent 1 to 2% of what they lost. As a member of an ethnic minority community, Te Tiriti is a document which gave us our right to be here and from which we seek our continuing sense of belonging. Not only that, but if we allow permission to ignore Indigenous rights, then that is permission to ignore all of our rights. Other speakers have spoken of the racist impacts of putting this bill forward. It has made discrimination more acceptable. And It has meant taking away tino rangatiratanga in the few spaces that this had actually been gained. The debate has not been good or healthy for a huge number of people. It has caused active harm in terms of personal safety and well-being. Politicians have been using the pain of our communities to self-promote and have refused to acknowledge or recognise our pain and harm. The party leading this debate on behalf of the coalition government got 8% of the vote. Other coalition parties were weak enough to allow this bill to proceed and have conceded the space, which shows their lack of electoral strength, resolve, and respect for basic rights. They have been largely silent, and silence is complicity. Indeed, they have hidden behind this bill to pass other legislation and regulation that strips rights from tangata whenua, such as Section 7AA, shutting down of te akapai ora, continuing and other continuing ongoing breaches by the Crown. If I and other members of ethnic minority communities allow you to do this without speaking out, other groups will continue to receive terrible treatment. This is an issue that affects everyone. It is allowing the breakdown of democratic processes, and it affects everything. To say that Māori are treated differently, I recognise the previous speakers have also made this point. The Crown system is giving unequal and different outcomes. You haven't, over 160 years, been able to fix that. Look at life expectancy rates, home ownership rates, incarceration rates, pay equity data, leadership positions and data, educational achievement. I could go on. The Crown systems are treating people differently in the impact. Even when the wording might legally proclaim equality, in practice, you do not achieve it. Had Te Tiriti been honoured, we would have achieved it. And I found where tangata whenua have tino rangatiratanga, they include everyone where they have the resources to do so. And a beautiful example in the Waikato is Te Kohao Health. This bill is about promoting individual rights versus collective rights. This is a means to take over collective property rights and to increase the ability of corporate interests to damage papatua nuku. We need to support collective rights. This country is not a corporate. I had a mokopuna born last year. She's 1 year old this month. What protections are in place for her? The harms of the damage that we are doing today and that this bill might further enable are going to be suffered by our mokopuna. I'll finish to say that we stand alongside tangata whenua. This Te Tiriti is our Te Tiriti. The Crown represents our side of the partnership, and we do not support what the Crown is doing here. Toi tu Te Tiriti.
Thank you, Anjum. We'll got time for questions. We'll go to our first one from Todd Stevenson.
Thank you. Thank you for making the time of being here. It's been submitted this morning that Māori do have different rights, responsibilities and privilege. Are you comfortable that if an immigrant coming to New Zealand this year might have different rights to Māori?
I reject your framing and I reject your question. This is a way to try and sow division between communities, and we see you when you go to ethnic minority communities and try and promote division between our community and theirs. We hear you when you say, oh, your community suffers racism too, and they're getting special treatment. They are not getting special treatment and they are not getting privileges. They are getting the rights that were promised to them and the rights that should have been upheld in a very minuscule way.
Okay, we'll go to a question from Celia Wade-Brown. That'll be the last one for the session. Okay, Celia, look, Celia, we're probably now running out of time for the question, unfortunately. Celia, you're on mute as well, sorry. So we'll draw the submission to a close. Thank you for providing your submission this morning. The committee does appreciate you being with us and providing that context.